I need to talk to you about something serious. Last week,
Oh,
I received a demand letter from lawyers representing Kanakuk Ministries, a Christian summer camp in Missouri. They're threatening to sue me for defamation because of something I said on my podcast with Congressman Ro Khanna. Here's what I said. I brought Elizabeth Phillips on my show, and she talked
mm,
about how Kanakuk employees have been molesting thousands of kids for years and putting them under NDAs after
wow.
settlements so they can never come out and talk about their sexual abuse and trauma.
NDAs. Here's the thing about NDAs. It you cannot have someone commit a crime and then not talk about it. That's not how NDAs work. I don't know if that. It must be the lawyer saying something like, there's no proof that we touched your kid, but you cannot mention it to anybody." I'm pretty sure that's how the lawyers of Kanakon or Kanakoro Khan played it, right? And just judging by the vibe of his of the way he's mentioning the lawsuit, I'm assuming that he's not gonna follow through and cease and desist, right? Because let's look at the situation. This church or this camp or this Christian church, Christian camp, it wouldn't make sense to sue a famous guy for something as egregious as defamation for pedophilia claims, right? Because what's gonna end up happening is that you're just gonna bring even more attention to the situation. It's gonna increase like the media attention. More people are gonna talk about it, and then the Christian church will have to prove that what he's saying is false. And from what I know, he actually used the past churchgoers and then the evidence that was provided by the FBI to make his claims about the church, which he will have to prove that what he say is accurate. And when not that many people know about this church. I mean, it's a common stereotype that these Christian churches are kind of dirty. So, but then like no, not this brand specifically, right? And now, if you're gonna get in a lawsuit with this pretty famous guy, he's gonna talk about it, right? News media is gonna want to interview him about it. He's gonna be providing the evidence that is blatant, and then yeah, the public will know.
Kanakuk's lawyers are demanding I take down that portion of the interview,
Kanakuk,
issue
all
a
right.
public apology, and stop talking about this. They gave me 10 days. That deadline has passed. Here's my response. No, I don't negotiate with pedophiles or the people who defend them. I'm not taking anything down. I'm not apologizing.
So
and
he's
I'm
not going to
damn
talk to
sure
the
not
lawyers.
going to stop talking about child sexual abuse at a Christian camp that continues to operate in the same grounds where horrific abuse took place. Let me be crystal clear about the facts. Facts that Kanakuk's own lawyers admitted in their letter. 1. Pete Newman, a senior Kanakuk employee and camp director, sexually abused children at Kanakuk for multiple years in the early 2000s. He's now serving life sentences. 2. Between 20 and 30 civil lawsuits were filed against Kanakuk. 3. Multiple confidential settlement agreements were executed with victims, NDAs that prevented these kids from speaking publicly about what happened to them.
Yeah, here's the thing about these Christian churches, right? Why would parents agree to these NDAs? It's because they're mega poor. They're super poor. And when these churches, they threaten lawsuits against these poor people, they cannot afford it. And so what could they do? The best they could do is settle out of court, right? Have them sign an NDA, which has no effect because it's a crime. And then these it's like these poor people, what are gonna do, right? When they suffer a lawsuit, they cannot, or they cannot afford a lawyer, right? Lawyers are fucking expensive. You think these lawyers care about like kids getting molested? Not really. They're in it for the money. And these poor people, they don't have money. I'm always surprised that these people. Why would you send your kid to a Christian camp. I mean, I could imagine it being fun, right? If you were to spend summer with a bunch of kids and you all just go play in the pool and go camping and the whole deal. It's pretty fun. It sounds fun. If I was a kid, if there was no senior employee trying to touch me, but I think like most people that are oppressed by the wealthy company of this church, like they cannot fight it. They really can't. They're kind of powerless. All they could do is file a police report and call it a day.
Kanakuk can't prove the number is less than thousands, and given their own admission of a cover-up, the true number is unknowable. But here's what really pisses me the fuck off. Kanakuk is still operating a camp at the very location where countless children suffered horrific abuse.
Wow.
They're still running programs. They're still bringing kids to the exact same place. And now they want to silence me for talking about it. This isn't about protecting their reputation.
I mean, they could try, but then it's going to go backwards. They're going to end up hurting themselves more.
This is about protecting children, and I will not be silenced. My attorney has sent Kanakuk's lawyers a response. We've made it clear. If they want to sue me, bring it on. We welcome discovery. We welcome depositions of Kanakuk leadership about what they knew, when they knew it, and what they did or didn't do to protect children. We welcome full disclosure of every abuse allegation, every settlement, every internal investigation, and every financial record showing whether Kanakuk actually suffered any harm from my statement or whether this is just an attempt to intimidate people into silence. Under Tennessee law, Kanakuk will have to prove I'm lying.
That's so sad, I'm surprised that like the biggest Christian, or like what is it, St. Latter-day's Church, are not standing up for this, right? Because it's people like this that make Christians look bad. It's an absolute stereotype, right? The Pope, like, well, not the Pope, but then the pastor and the altar boy. It's a stereotype. Like it's been pretty well known that they touch their kids. Even my dad knew what they are, and he's an atheist. All he does is read the newspaper. Every time he shows me a newspaper, oh look, another Christian camp molesting their kids again. Darn.
They'll have to prove actual malice, that I knew my statements were false, or that I had serious doubts about its truth. They can't do that, because I relied on Elizabeth Phillips, whose brother was a victim. I relied on public court records, relied on widespread media coverage of Pete Newman's prosecution, and most importantly, they admit the core of what I said is true. Kanakuk employees sexually abused children. Victims were silenced by confidentiality agreements. That's not defamation, that's the truth. I want to say something directly to survivors. I see you, I believe you, and I will not stop fighting for you. Sexual abuse at youth camps, especially Christian camps that are supposed to be safe places, is a matter of urgent public concern. Parents have a right to know. Kids have a right to be protected.
I mean, how are parents just clueless? Like, why would you send your kid to a Christian camp, especially when it's a camp that's been known to have, child molestation going on, right? Doesn't make sense. I mean, I send my kid to a camp. Like, if I'm not gonna see my kid for like 3 months. I mean, I would like to know that place very well, or else I'm just feeding a sheep to the wolves.
And survivors have a right to speak. Kanakuk's attempt to use legal threats to silence reporting on child sexual abuse in itself is newsworthy, and I'm going to keep reporting on it. To Kanakuk, you want to talk about callous and malicious disregard for the truth? Let's talk about operating a camp where a predator had access to thousands of children for years. Let's talk about confidentiality agreements that silenced traumatized kids. Let's talk about continuing to operate on a crime scene. You're not the victim here. The children you failed to protect are the victims. I stand
Not just fail to protect, but also taking advantage of.
by every word I said. I will not retract. I will not apologize. And if you want to sue me, my lawyers are ready. To everyone watching, this is why I do this show. This is why we tell real stories about real people. Because the truth matters. Because kids matter. And because some things are more important than money or reputation. If you want to support survivors of institutional child sexual abuse, check out No More Victims, the organization Elizabeth Phillips founded. They're passing laws to protect kids and hold institutions like Kanakuk accountable. And if you're a survivor, please know it's not your fault. You deserve justice, and there are people fighting for you. I'll keep you updated as this develops, but I'm not going to be backing down.
Wow. Well, it's so crazy that we still need to modify the laws to punish these people, right? Because I thought the law should apply already. It's kind of blatant, right? When you when some old guy touched a kid incorrectly, isn't that jail time by default? How is he not in jail? Right? I mean, it's been known that other pedophiles are in jail. Why is that guy not in jail? How's that possible? Is this something you could do with an LLC or something? You could just like hide the identity of a person. Like, oh yeah, we have confidential information. We cannot tell you who touched these kids. Is that how they pull this off? Man, that's interesting. Yeah, I need to know for research purposes. But all in all, I mean, this is why, like, I think, like, every time I see a parent or a pet owner, they drop their pets or their kids off at a place, they're so clueless, right? Like, I know a guy, he's a shithead. He runs a dog boarding thing and a dog daycare. These people, they would drop off their dog at his place, right? And this guy, when he takes the dogs in, he would just leave like 3 days in a row, and the dog would just be in his bedroom crying all day, all nights, just barking nonstop. And I reported to the Gov, but they don't want to do shit about it. They're like, oh no, it's not illegal. I'm like, what do you mean it's not illegal? This is animal abuse. They're like, oh no, what he's doing is not illegal. No, answer my question. Why is it not illegal to trap a dog in a room and neglect them? And they just don't answer my question. And there's not much that I could do, right? Like, these people, I cannot break in. If I do, then what do you call it? I'll go to jail for it. And if I record, right, his place, it will register as a violation of privacy. So and then the evidence will be nullified. That's how dumb the justice system is. It's like, oh yeah, you had to get the evidence. I mean, I guess that portion does make sense, that when you acquire evidence, it has to be legal. Otherwise, police are just gonna break into people's houses to find evidence or something, and then you can imagine like how there could be a huge basket of problems when that shit happens. But all in all, yeah, I just don't know how people can get away with child molestation. It just doesn't make sense. Like, these people are so clueless. It's just these Christians, they just trust like other Christian organizations so easily, right? Just because, oh yeah, I'm Christian, these people are Christian. All right, Timmy, go into this camp, have fun, or help someone have fun. Yeah. Well, goes to show God doesn't really exist.